Hi guys, welcome back to my channel once again here on YouTube. Today I decided to do a video ranking WWE's pay-per-views from 2003 from worst to best. I'm only doing the US ones. I'm not going to include Insurrection as I think that's quite pointless adding that one in, as it just didn't feel like a proper pay-per-view in my opinion. Even though it was a pay-per-view, it just seemed irrelevant and I decided to leave it out of this list. Let's just crack on with it, shall we? So, in last place, or 12th place, I decided to put Armageddon. Yeah, the artwork looks pretty cool on the front. I must admit that's about the only good thing going for it. And obviously the spine's all aligned to make 2003 as we've discussed in the past. 18 certificate this one was. There's the disc, insert, and the matches. So I think what it was that kind of put me off of this one is it just felt like an episode of Raw, to be honest. Just looking at some of the matches there, like Booker T versus Mark Henry, the Tag Team Turmoil World Tag Team Championship match with all those teams there. The Battle of the Sexes was a good idea for a match, but it just wasn't that great. So Trish Stratus and Lita against Chris Jericho and Christian, yeah, I'm not sure what else to say about that one. The Intercontinental Championship match between RVD and Randy Orton was pretty good, with special guest referee Mick Foley. Michaels versus Batista was average, and then we had that triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship, Triple H, Goldberg and Kane. Goldberg and Kane were pretty good, I thought, in 2003. Kane was a really good heel, especially after he'd lost his mask. I didn't like it when he did lose his mask, but he was an unstoppable monster at this time. So if he had been a champion, then it would have been pretty cool, and Goldberg. But this feud with Goldberg and Triple H seemed to have dragged on for such a long time, and it just became really tiresome and boring. So I decided to rank that one 12th. My opinions probably change over the next 6 months to a year in regards to how I've ranked these, but this is just how I'm feeling about them at the moment. So in 11th place, I decided to put SummerSlam 2003. Interesting cover there with Ms. Lesnar or Mrs. Lesnar on. Sable. Or Rena Miro, or whatever or Rena Lesnar even, shall I say, whatever you want to call her. There's the spine, 18 certificate, disc. I haven't got an insert for this one, unfortunately. And this one, honestly, guys, one or two matches were okay at best. So I didn't mind the Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Rhino and Tajiri US Championship Fatal 4-Way match. That was alright. La Resistance versus the Dudley Boys for the World Tag Team Championship was okay. Shane McMahon versus Eric Bischoff was just not interested. I just wasn't interested. Undertaker versus A-Train, again, that's something you would have saw on an episode of SmackDown. I understand they were trying to push A-Train, but he just wasn't connecting with the fans, I didn't think. RVD versus Kane was okay. It was a shame they had to break up. They were a good team, but obviously they had to have a match to, confirm they've broken up, and yeah, that was okay. Kurt Angle versus Brock Lesnar for the WWE Championship wasn't as good as their WrestleMania match, but the WrestleMania 19 match, that is. But again, is another one of those that were average, I guess. This is just my opinion, though, guys. You probably have your own. And the Elimination Chamber match, which is for the World Heavyweight Championship. Sorry, guys, has champion. I think he was champion here. Triple H against Randy Orton, against Chris Jericho, against Goldberg, against Shawn Michaels, against Kevin Nash. I just thought it is, in my opinion, it's the worst Elimination Chamber match I've ever seen in my life. And it's ranked, when Elimination Chambers, if they were to get ranked by myself, that one would be bottom. That is the worst one in my opinion. Absolutely awful. And then you probably got fans and people that would disagree with that, saying ECW's December to Dismember 2006 Elimination Chamber was worse than this. I don't think so. At least they got a weapon each. Do you know what I mean? That one was just awful. This SummerSlam. But again, just my opinion. I was in 11th place. In 10th place, I decided to put Judgment Day 2003. Quite interesting cover artwork, I don't mind that. And then there's the disc there. But this one just felt like an episode of SmackDown, pretty much. And some of the matches on there are quite questionable. For example, a 6-man tag team match, we have Chris Benoit, Rhino and Spanky versus the FBI and John Cena. On a pay-per-view, just doesn't seem right. It's just anything to fill up the card kind of thing. And Scott Steiner and Test, a very unusual partnership, which I didn't mind too much, but they didn't seem to click, and they didn't last very long. They were just too busy arguing over Stacy Keibler all the time, I think it was. And they were against La Resistance. The ladder match for the WWE Tag Team Championship was pretty cool, I must admit. So that had Team Angle, which was Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin against Eddie Guerrero and Tajiri. And I think Chavo Guerrero was supposed to be in that match, but Tajiri had replaced him because he got injured or something. We had a battle royal for the Intercontinental Championship. With the eventual winner being, I think it was Christian. I'm trying to think now. It was Christian and Booker T. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Christian because he got that haircut. His $1,000 haircut or something stupid that he was boasting about. And he was quite a good heel, a very cocky heel when he'd won that. So I'm pretty sure it was him that won that. I could be wrong though, guys. But yeah, we had a bikini challenge match after that. Tori Wilson against Sable, for all those who like a bit of eye candy. And then we also had Mr. America versus Rowdy Roddy Piper with Sean O'Haire. I did like the alliance with Piper and O'Haire. They seemed to go quite well together, but a lot of the fans didn't seem to click with that one either. The Mr. America gimmick was a bit stupid. We all knew it was Hulk Hogan, and yeah, that was a very, very strange one. Very strange time in WWE on SmackDown. World Heavyweight Championship match, Triple H versus Kevin Nash. Then we had Fatal 4-Way for the Women's Championship, Trish, Jacqueline, Victoria and Jazz. And then a stretcher match for the WWE Championship between Brock Lesnar and Big Show. Ninth place, I decided to go with Bad Blood. Now, the main event match between these two, no offense to Kevin Nash, I just felt this time in his career he shouldn't have been wrestling in the main event, and he shouldn't have been in a Hell in a Cell match, that's for sure. But that's just my opinion on that, only because of his knees and his injuries he'd suffered throughout his career. He was just very, you could notice his mobility wasn't very good, but again, my opinion. And yeah, this one had Dudley Boyz against Rodney Mack and Christopher Nowinski. Can you guys remember them? Rodney Mack and Christopher Nowinski. And then winner gets Stacy Keibler's managerial services. Sorry guys. Scott Steiner versus Test. That was what we was talking about, or what I was talking about just now, between Steiner and Test. Their partnership and stuff. Christian versus Booker T for the Intercontinental Championship. And we had Rob Van Dam and Kane, still a partnership here, against La Resistance for the World Tag Team Championship. Goldberg versus Chris Jericho. Some interesting stories behind that about how Goldberg didn't want to work with Jericho in WCW, so there was a bit of heat between these two, and I think they had a brawl backstage. I don't know if it was at this event or building up to it. And apparently Goldberg had pulled some of Jericho's hair out, and Jericho managed to get the better of Goldberg. I can't remember the entire story, but it's out there somewhere on the trusted old World Wide Web. Shawn Michaels against Ric Flair. Redneck triathlon between Steve Austin and Eric Bischoff, which, well, if you like that kind of thing, I guess it's fun, entertaining, and everything else. And then obviously the main event between Triple H and Kevin Nash in the Hell in a Cell for the World Championship. In 8th place, I decided to put No Way Out 2003. Some of the matches did seem very interesting and really drew me to want to watch it at the time. But unfortunately, I didn't think, for example, I didn't think Steiner and Triple H feud went well. It fell apart. It was a bit of a disaster, unfortunately. Steiner is another one of those wrestlers where his body pretty much broken down at this point, and he's a bit more slower in the ring. He's more of a poser than anything else around this kind of time, and him and Triple H warring over the World Heavyweight Championship just didn't work. Unfortunately, it would have been good to have had Steiner beat Triple H, definitely, but it just something didn't seem right there. Steve Austin and Eric Bischoff, a very strange feud, but understandable, because they were trying to get one over on each other for the the general manager of Raw kind of job position. The Rock versus Hogan was pretty cool, I actually thought. Undertaker against Big Show. We also had another 6-man tag match, another random match. So Brock Lesnar, Chris Benoit and Edge against Team Angle pretty much. So Kurt Angle, Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas. Something else that you would see on SmackDown pretty much. Billy Kidman versus Matt Hardy for the Cruiserweight Championship. William Regal and Lance Storm versus Rob Van Dam and Kane. And Chris Jericho versus Jeff Hardy. In 7th place, Unforgiven. Now, as you saw on the front there, psychopath Kane without his mask. So the summer of 2003 and late 2003 was on Raw was pretty much a lot to do with Kane, I thought. And obviously Triple H was the other big name heel on Raw as well at the same time. So those two were pretty much the big news on Raw back then. We had Kane against Shane McMahon in a last man standing match, which obviously you would think would be one-sided, but Shane did put up a good fight from what I remember. And then we were also having Randy Orton built up as the Legend Killer at this point. He was going after Shawn Michaels. A lot of these matches I thought had too many stipulations to remember. So the main event we had World Heavyweight Championship match, Triple H versus Goldberg. If Goldberg loses, he leaves WWE. Sorry guys. And if Triple H can also lose the title by DQ or count out. It was just all these confusing stipulations. But yeah, that match was well, it could have been better, but just my opinion. It was a long feud, like I said. Triple H and Goldberg. Did it need to go on from August, or was it July that it started? Summer all the way to the winter, to pretty much the end of 2003. It just dragged. Every pay-per-view they were against each other in some kind of matchup. Triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championships. We had Jericho versus Christian versus Rob Van Dam. JR and the King versus Coach and Al Snow. Winners broadcast Raw. Another one of those strange match stipulation matches. A 6-man table match between the Dudley Boys and Spike Dudley against La Resistance and Rob Conway. Scott Steiner versus Test again. Another one of those matches with lots of stipulations. So if Test wins, he gets Stacy and Steiner's services. If Steiner wins, he gets Stacy back. I mean, that sounds a bit, strange. You take that how you will. You know what I mean? If Test wins, he gets Stacy and Steiner's services. Anyway, Lita and Trish against Molly Holly and Gail Kim as well. What a very strange time 2003 was. In 6th place, I decided to put Vengeance. This one would probably be on a lot of other people's rankings, quite low down, like where I've got Armageddon maybe. But this is my list, so it's where I've ranked it. It's just how I feel about this pay-per-view in particular. They weren't great matches, but there were some that were entertaining for me. I did enjoy the APA Invitational. That was quite fun. Had a lot of interesting faces from the past show up in that. We had an indecent proposal match, Billy Gunn versus Jamie Noble. Yeah, that weren't great, I must admit. This also felt a bit like an episode of SmackDown, I guess, but there are matches that did stand out, as I said. We had WWE Tag Team Championship match, the world's greatest tag team against Billy Kidman and Rey Mysterio, which was cool. Stephanie McMahon, not Shane McMahon. Stephanie McMahon versus Sable. The finals of the US Championship tournament between Chris Benoit and Eddie Guerrero, which was really cool. Undertaker versus John Cena. This was like I think this is where Taker respects him or something, or he earns Undertaker's respect. I think it was this one. We had Zach Gowen against Mr. McMahon. That was a very strange feud, storyline, whatever you want to call it. A triple threat match for the WWE Championship. Brock Lesnar, Big Show, and Kurt Angle was okay. Now in 5th place, guys, I think you're going to be shocked with this one. I've decided to put WrestleMania 19. This is a 2-disc set. So I didn't think this was a very good WrestleMania. It just felt very shit in places, and like, for example, Undertaker and Nathan Jones versus Big Show and A-Train, which turned out to be a handicap match in the end, as Undertaker took on Big Show and A-Train by himself because Nathan Jones got took out backstage by Big Show and A-Train, I think. That was just a really bad match. Matt Hardy versus Rey Mysterio for the Cruiserweight Championship was average at best. Triple threat women's match, Jazz, Trish Stratus and Victoria, was another one of those average kind of matches. The triple threat WWE Tag Team Championship match was probably one of my favorites of the night. So Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin versus Los Guerreros versus Benoit and Rhino. We had Booker T versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship, which I really didn't like that feud at all. It had some really bad ideas in there. I'm not going to go into it too much. You guys can check that out on the internet if you want to know more. I really don't want to talk about it. I feel kind of uncomfortable, but it was wrong. Shawn Michaels versus Jericho was an okay match. Street Fight 20 years in the making was entertaining between Hulk Hogan and Mr. McMahon, but yeah, I guess, they did well to have it for a WrestleMania. Austin versus The Rock for a 3rd time at WrestleMania, I think. Yeah, it was good to see Rock get his first victory over Steve Austin, but at the same time, to see it a 3rd time at WrestleMania, I don't know if it felt boring to me. I don't know. There was something about it that wasn't as good, as magical as the WrestleMania 17 match. It's probably better than the WrestleMania 15 match between them, though. The Rock was quite entertaining throughout. Just the way he was behaving, really heelish and quite funny. And then the WWE Championship match between Kurt Angle and Royal Rumble winner Brock Lesnar. which was a good match, but it had a few spots where both of them pretty much could have messed their career up. I think Angle got injured, or maybe both of them got injured in that match such a long time ago, and I just completely forgot, but I remember some seriously bad botches. Royal Rumble is my number 4 in the rankings for 2003 choice. The Royal Rumble match itself was pretty entertaining. It had some good star quality in there, and who it came down to was pretty cool. And then the eventual winner being Lesnar. He had such an interesting 12 months from when he debuted, winning the Royal Rumble, winning the King of the Ring, winning the WWE Championship. Excuse me, guys. And then headlining WrestleMania all in 1 year. Good rookie year, that. Kurt Angle versus Chris Benoit for the WWE Championship was good. Triple H versus Scott Steiner was okay. Better than their No Way Out match, I think. But again, as I said earlier, something didn't seem to gel well with those two. First ever stepdaughter versus stepmother match. Tori Wilson versus Dawn Marie. Very strange storyline, that one, and the match wasn't that great. Lance Storm and William Regal against the Dudley Boys for the World Tag Team Championship, which was okay. Brock Lesnar versus Big Show. Winner advances to the Royal Rumble match. It was a bit obvious who wins that. Well, there you go. That's 4th place. In 3rd place, was quite a bit of a shocker for this to be up as high as it is, but I kind of liked it. So No Mercy 2003. And I think one of the main reasons it stood out for me that I really like it is because of the first ever biker chain match for the WWE Championship, which had Undertaker against Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar's impressive win-loss record over the Undertaker is also quite notable as well for their series of matches together. And I really did enjoy that. And then we had Kurt Angle against John Cena. First ever father-daughter I Quit match. Stephanie McMahon versus Mr. McMahon. As bad as it sounds, it was actually entertaining. But it was kind of terrible as well. But that's kind of a guilty pleasure of mine, I guess, seeing that match. I'm quite sadistic sometimes. But no, it like I said, it wasn't great. But it wasn't a terrible match. It was just entertaining to watch. It wasn't like a 5-star match or anything like that. But it was good to see Steph try and beat her dad up or whatever. Eddie Guerrero versus Big Show for the US Championship was good, and it got quite brutal towards the end from what I remember, involving a car. And yeah, Cruiserweight Championship, Tajiri against Rey Mysterio. Very good. Chris Benoit versus A-Train. Zach Gowen versus Matt Hardy. And APA versus the Basham Brothers. Again, most of those felt like an episode. Well, most of that pay-per-view felt like an episode of SmackDown as well. But like I said, it's got some interesting moments. 2nd place, I decided to put Backlash. The Rock versus Goldberg. Another one of those dream matches. Me being a WCW fan, and then the build up to this was quite cool. And the match itself was okay. I didn't mind it. The Rock and Goldberg, yeah, very good stuff. We had Brock Lesnar against John Cena for the WWE Championship as well. Not Kurt Angle. A 6-man tag with Kevin Nash, Shawn Michaels and Booker T against Triple H, Chris Jericho and Ric Flair. Team Angle versus Los Guerreros for the Tag Team Championship, which was a good match. Rob Van Dam and Kane versus the Dudley Boys for the World Tag Team Championship. We had, excuse me guys, we had a Women's Championship match, Trish Stratus versus Jazz, Rikishi versus Sean O'Haire with Roddy Piper, and David versus Goliath, Rey Mysterio versus Big Show. And in 1st place, at this time, it could change, like I said, in the future if I was to ever rank them again. I decided to put Survivor Series. Don't really like the front cover that much. The colour is okay, but, you know, They could have had like more superstars added to the front, like for example, focusing on one of those classic traditional Survivor Series matches with both teams on the front cover or something. I don't know. That's just me being an idiot, nitpicking or whatever. We had the Basham Brothers against Eddie and Chavo Guerrero for the WWE Tag Team Championship. We had Women's Championship match between Molly, Holly and Lita. Classic Survivor Series match between Team Angle and Team Lesnar from SmackDown. And they've color coded it as well, so you could tell this was SmackDown because it has blue underlined and on the star there, and then Raw's has the red underline and star. Is that a star or a spot? I don't know. My eyes are terrible. But there you go. There's each of the teams there. So Stone Cold's team's there, Bischoff's team's there for the Raw Classic Survivor Series match, and then you got Team Angle's there and Team Lesnar's there. Both of those matches are very good. I did enjoy them. We had the final encounter ambulance match between Shane McMahon and Kane. Buried alive match between The Undertaker and Mr. McMahon, which leads to The Undertaker saying goodbye to the biker gimmick, I guess, and then returning to the old gothic dead man kind of thing at WrestleMania the following year. And then Goldberg versus Triple H for the World Heavyweight Championship again. So yeah, that's me. That's my rankings for 2003 from worst to best, guys. Hope you enjoyed this. I'd like to hear yours below. Do you agree with this one? Give me a thumbs up if you do, or just give me some of your opinions on it. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, guys, and I'll catch you again for another video soon. Goodbye for now.